Hey, Katrina here from ScrappyHorses. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Always so happy when you pay me a visit. I am working on creating a custom bag, and I'm only going to use 3 different shapes from the Cricut Access. I'm creating this bag for the challenge over at the Outlaws Anything Goes in a Card-Free Zone. And I'll leave the information below if you want to come check out that challenge. We'd love to see you over there. Let's get started on this bag. Again, we're going to start with just 3 free shapes. So let's come on over to the left-hand panel here where it says Shapes. Left click. Let's pick up a score line, a pentagon or 5-sided shape, and the sharp cornered square. Let's go ahead and close this up, and let's bring our square down. I'm going to change this to a light gray. I don't need to do that, but I'm going to do it because it's just easier to see. The next thing I want to do is think about what I'm going to put in the bag and the size I need. So I made this little faux candle here, and this measures 4.33 by 5.71. So when I create my bag, I want all of my panels of the bag to have the same width. And I think I'd like that width to be 4.5 or 5.5. Let's go 5.5, okay? So I'm going to take my square, I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to make my width 5.5. I type that into my keyboard, I hit return, and let's make the height 6 1/4. Again, I'm going to type this in, 6.25, return. There we go. So now I can see that my candle is going to fit that pretty well. Let's just move this to the back. There we go. So obviously when I put it in the bag, it's going to sit on the bottom, and that gives me some clearance. So I think that'll be fine. Let's move our candle off. Now I know that I am going to cut this out of cardstock that is 12 by 12. So I'm going to have to do my box in two different sheets of cardstock. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to double the width. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to change this to 11 because 5.5 times 2 is 11. Now I have my front panel and one side panel. Okay, following me so far? Let's bring down our pentagon. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unlock this shape, and I'm going to make the width of it 5.5. Next, I'm going to flip it upside down. So up here at the top, you see flip, left click. We're going to flip vertically. Now we're going to pull this. It's not going to change my width. It's going to stay 5.5. And I can pull this as far as I want to pull it. You probably can see where I'm going from here. I'm going to be making some tabs. The top ones will fold down to give us a finished edge. When we put the bottom ones in, that's going to fold to create a place to glue in a square on the bottom, and that'll be the bottom of the bag then. Then we're going to put a tab over here where we're going to put the 2 sides together. All right, so let's continue on. You'll understand as we keep going. So the length that you make this will obviously change how wide it is up here as you go. So if we're doing this, you can see that that's not going to give us a very good tab, we're going to have too much space right in this triangle right here. But if I come out like this way, that gives us more room. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with that. It's about 5.5 by 8.33 for this particular bag. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure, let's make this a little taller here. We want to make sure that this corner right here is lining up with this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set this in, this rectangle, I'm going to set it right in on the 12. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to change this to 12. Now, I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to set it behind because I think it'll be easier to see. And I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to try to get my point right on the 12. And I'm making this bigger by using this little plus. And now we can really begin to see where we are. I'm going to go ahead and select this and I'm going to use my arrow on my keyboard and just do a right. It's pretty close. Now another thing we can do here is we can line up our edge. Let's do this. Let's line up our edge right at 12. Let's line up this edge right at 12. Should be pretty close. Let's see what happens. We're going to select the 2. Let's back off so we can see what we've done here. And we are going to combine, left click combine, and now left click weld. Now let's make this easy. Let's take this shape, let's turn it gray again. And let's duplicate it. All right, let's flip it. We're going to flip it horizontally. And now we are going to take this and line it up at the bottom. So I've selected them both. I'm left clicking align bottom. And now let's align left or right. It doesn't matter. Okay. Let's select them both, combine, weld. Okay, easy, right? Now let's take this, let's duplicate it. Let's flip this top piece that we just duplicated and we're going to come up to flip. We're going to flip it vertically. And now we're going to take this piece and line it up right at the bottom of this. Again, we can come in and make that really big so we can see very close here where we are. Now we're going to come back out. We're going to align left. So again, left click align left. And again, we're going to come over to the far right, left click combine, left click weld. All right, now we need one more tab. So we're gonna have to go back over to shapes here and bring in another 5-sided shape or pentagon. We are gonna go ahead and rotate this around about 270. Let's come in and type it up here. 270, return. And we're going to line this up. We know that this is 11 inches. So let's just go back and let's put it right on the edge here. All right, let's go back so you can see what I did. I'm just bumping this right at the edge because that means that the edge is at 0 and this edge is going to be at 11. That means I can pull this in and I can place it right at the 11 mark. So let's go ahead and pump that back up. So right there's my 11. And I'm going to pull it all the way down so that we know it is 6 inches, right? 6 inches in our, from here to here, which is now our width, by the way. So we're going to change that to 6.00. We're going to pull it out here, just like we did before. Actually, it's 6 1/4. I'm sorry about that. It's 6 1/4. There we go. Now, if you're having trouble seeing where this is going to go, which I am, you can pull in your score line. We're going to rotate that 90. I'm doing that at my keyboard. We know that it's going to be 11 inches. Typing that in right there. I'm hitting return. Now I'm going to set this right in at the bottom. Oops, let's move this to the back. I'm going to put this right in here like so. So it's coming right there. Now I'm going to take that. I'm going to select it, right click, duplicate. I'm going to set that one in right down here. Now I can pull this in and I can see. Let's move it to the back. So I select it, right click, send it back, left click that. And now I can see better what I'm doing. Looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to go ahead, select just those 2 pieces, not my score lines here. And I am going to again come over to the right hand column, left click combine, left click weld. Right. Now let's just move these away for a second. We'll come over this way. This is way too much flap. I'm going to change the color again so we can see this better. Too much flap. I want a little more flap on the top than on the bottom. So I'm going to bring this square down and let's just cut off. You can eyeball it, just cut off as much as you like. So you know you want a little bit longer on the top maybe than on the bottom. So I'm going to leave about this much to fold over on the top. It's about, well, let's just move it up and see. Let's leave us about, we're sitting at 18 here. Let's leave us about 1.5 inches maybe. And let's slice. We can get rid of all of that. Let's bring this piece in and let's duplicate it one more time. Let's bring this down and let's leave about 1 inch on our bottom. So we know that this is sitting at about 20. So let's get this sitting about 21. Let's go 21 and a little more, maybe a 21 1/4. There we go. And we'll slice that. I'll be honest, I just eyeball these usually. And on my side, I'd like, let's, we don't need to leave too much. Let's set it up at almost 3/4 of an inch. Let's go ahead and slice that. Delete. And now we can add our score lines. So let's put them back in here. We're going to bump this right to the edge where we had it before. We're going to send it to the back. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab this score line and I'm going to bump it to the left as far as I can. Now I'm going to select it and I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate it because we need some along the edges. But before we do that, so that we don't lose what we have so far, let's go ahead and let's select all of this and hit attach. Now let's take this and let's turn it vertically. So we're going to rotate it, or we're going to unrotate it. Let's put it back at 0. There we go. Let's make it 6 1/4. Let's bring it in. We should be able to position that right at 5.5. because we know that that's 5.5. Let's copy that one, duplicate. This should go in right at 11. Let's go ahead and attach those. So I'm selecting everything. These are my two score lines and what I've already attached. I'm going to come down to the bottom and left click attach again. All right, let's bump this up. We have our front, we have one side. Here's our top that will fold down. Here are the pieces that will fold in, right? And then we can put our bottom piece on that, which I'm just going to hand cut with a paper slicer. Okay, so when you do this, you're going to need probably 3 sheets of your paper that you're going to use, because you're going to need a sheet for the front, a sheet for the back, and then you're going to need a sheet to go ahead and complete your bottom. I use cereal box to make my boxes sometimes, and sometimes I just use them for the bottom. In the case of this bag, I'm just going to use it on the bottom. It gives it a little more strength. All right, so going back to what I was saying, we need our back and our side. So all we do is we've selected this, we right click, we duplicate. Now when we get over to the table, we're going to adhere these two pieces together. This piece right here will wrap around and adhere to this side, and there's our little bag or box. Again, we're going to create the bottom over at the craft table. All right, let's head on over to the craft table and let's put this together. Here we are at the craft table. I've assembled a few things here to get us started. I have this ribbon. I have some chocolate re-inker as well as some paint from Blick Arts. I have this pretty little floral lace and some brown grosgrain ribbon. I have a snowflake. I don't know what that's doing in there. We're not using that. And a silver key. Here are the two pieces that we cut in Cricut Design Space. Again, the print on those papers is a ScrappyHorses design. I put that together in Canva and printed 12 by 12 sheets and then cut that paper. All right, I'm going to start here by just mixing up a little bit of that Blick Paint with a little bit of the chocolate re-inker. And I'm just going to dab that over that key and set it aside to dry. Now I'm going to go back to the bag here, and you can see that these are not the dimensions that I showed you when we put it together on in Cricut Design Space. You can see that the top is a little bit shorter and the bottom is a little bit longer than what we did together. Like I said, I just eyeball these and I don't measure real carefully. Although the score lines were already in from Cricut, I like to make them deeper. That makes the fold much crisper. Then along the folds on the sides where we're going to put the two pieces together, I have some double-sided tape. I'm going to come in now and I'm going to join the front and side to the back and side. And now I'm going to join the whole piece together, and this is how it comes together as a box. I'm folding in my top pieces there and my bottom pieces, and now I'm just going to hand cut a square. So what I did is I measured and then I just cut my cereal box piece, and I'm covering it with some of my pattern paper. Now I did cover both sides of this. You wouldn't need to, because you're going to put one side out, and that's the side you will need to cover. Then on the inside I'm going to drop a piece in, and you'll see that here in a minute. I'm going to go around all the edges with some of this double-sided tape, and then I will carefully place that on. Keep in mind, if you don't think you're going to get it square, which I was worried about, You can always use a little Fabri-Tac and that'll give you some wiggle room. If you just put it on with your tape, you're kind of stuck. I mean, once it sticks down, it's stuck. All right, so here you're looking down into the box and you can see that we still have white there. So I just cut a piece of cardstock and slipped it in. All right, now let's go in and let's poke some holes here. I'm going to use my crocodile and I'm going to put some holes in, and I've marked them on both sides here. And I put those right on the fold. Now this is an easy way to attach handles. I'm going to come in with my Gros grain ribbon and I'm going to insert the pieces straight into the bag. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of tape, that double-sided tape that we used before, and I'm just going to tape those down. Then once I've done that, I'm going to take one long piece of tape and put it over both sides of the handle as well as the lip of the box. When you put your second side in, you'll see me fiddle with this a little bit. I fiddle because I want to make sure that it is actually going to be the same length and carry equally in the bag. There's nothing worse than having one side a lot longer than the other and then it just doesn't hang right. All right, so here's my piece over that. I'm going to cut off a little bit of that extra. Then I'm going to come in and put my long piece across it. Then I will remove the liners from those, add Fabri-Tac on those, and put those in. Now, on the sides, I'm just going to use a little bit of that ATG because I'm just basically putting those down just to keep them out of the way. But on this one, I'm adding Fabri-Tac because I want to make sure this holds. I don't want my Gros grain ribbon slipping out or the panel coming loose when there's something inside of my bag. Next, it's time to start embellishing. So I'm going to add this really thin double score tape all the way around at the very top as well as about ½ inch down. I'm adding my ribbon, actually my lace, and that lace was dyed with a little bit of that chocolate re-inker. Then I added my top layer of ribbon to the top over the lace. Next, I just tied a bow with some tulle, and then I used a piece of fishing line to tie the little key onto that tulle bow. And then that was it. The bag is finished. Any comments, questions about anything I did here? I am more than happy to get back with you, so just leave them below. I will also leave the information about the materials I used as well as the challenge over at the Outlaws Anything Goes in a Card-Free Zone. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll catch up with you in the next video. Bye.